going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls and Philadelphia 76ers game reaction. The Chicago Bulls, a very important game to go out and win for them against Philadelphia to try and get our coaching staff into the All-Star game, but unfortunately, we just did not have enough in terms of that star power and in terms of the help for players like DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic as we fall away late to the Philadelphia 76ers. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who is your player of the game? Your overall thoughts and opinions on the loss to Philadelphia. We lost this game 119 to 108. Considering how the Chicago Bulls are extremely short-staffed once again in today's game, I think it's a very valiant effort for the Chicago Bulls, but very similar problems in the past 2 weeks has definitely applied to today's game. You could call this game the DeRozan versus the Joel Embiid game, because those two were the real big impacts in both of their respective teams for this game. DeRozan obviously gets his season high for the NBA with 45 points. A really strong game from him. He also nearly got a double-double with 9 rebounds, 7 assists as well for DeRozan. Obviously, I don't have all the stats with me at the moment, so I won't be reading out all individual performances. But again, just looking at the game, all I really need to do is tell you about 2 or 3 of these guys, because not everybody else really had strong games for the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, I think the weakness has always been defensively, and I really think defensively today lies to a lot of our team. And again, it's Joel Embiid's a very hard player to stop, of course, and we're going to be getting into him a lot. But the difference between the game was Joel Embiid and DeRozan played fantastic basketball, and they kind of canceled each other out by the damage that they were putting onto the floor. So then you turn to the rest of the guys on this team. The best runs for Philadelphia came when Joel Embiid was not on the floor. He had a nice 8-minute break in the second quarter as Philadelphia extended the lead. In the fourth quarter, Joel Embiid didn't exactly start that fourth quarter, and Philadelphia extended the lead. These are the types of situations that we're dealing with. We need to learn how to beat this Philadelphia team when Joel Embiid's not on the floor. Not extend the lead. Not allow Philly to extend the lead when Joel Embiid's not on the floor, because you give him more time to rest, and obviously him dropping nearly 45 points on the game, it goes to show that that's the type of player that he is. He's always going to be the guy that's hardest to stop. We have to put a lot of pressure, and we have to put a lot of our attention into stopping Joel Embiid. But if you can't beat this Philadelphia 76ers team when Joel Embiid's off the floor, you're not going to win the game. Simple as that. There's a reason why we were down pretty much the whole game today, and that's the big reason. Yes, we fought. We were very valiant, very resilient, and that's where you can give the credit to the Chicago Bulls. But all in all, Joel Embiid was the main guy to stop today, and he was far from being stopped. I thought the double teams in terms of trying to stop Joel Embiid as well wasn't good enough. I think a lot of people got lost. A lot of people couldn't find that double team. You allowed players like Vucevic to isolate with Joel Embiid, and Vucevic played well today offensively, but let's be honest, he can't guard Joel Embiid one-on-one. It's always been that case. It's been that case all season, and it remains true today. You have to find those double teams and those triple teams. You need to get the ball out of his hands. And the fact that he dropped nearly 40 to 50 points in this game is not good enough, and we simply could not get the ball out of his hands. We have to do a lot better. He dropped 40 points today in total, and he had a double-double. So a lot that needs to go right for the Chicago Bulls, obviously. Maybe Joel Embiid on a quieter night, we can win this game. But he had a really strong night. He came in very aggressive, and he still has that undefeated streak against the Chicago Bulls. This sucks for our coaching staff more than anything. At the end of the day, this is not the worst loss that I've ever seen for the Chicago Bulls. Again, I liked our fight. I liked our resiliency. But it does suck for our coaching staff. We now sit second in the Eastern Conference, and Billy Donovan and the coaching staff won't be coaching that All-Star game. It will go to the Miami Heat. And of course, all respect to the Miami Heat that goes to that. They are first in the Eastern Conference now. And of course, their coaching staff deserves it more than anybody, pretty much. It's very similar with the Chicago Bulls. I think our coaching staff deserved it as well. But unfortunately, it's only a couple of percentage points difference, and this game could have been the difference, and we ended up losing it. I don't have too much to say based on individual performances, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I don't have all the stats with me at the moment. Something has gone wrong. But of course, we could talk a little bit about some of these guys. Again, DeRozan had a 45-point near triple-double performance. He was unbelievable today. And I don't know where we would be without him. He was carrying the load. And a lot of people will say that he wasn't passing the ball, or that he slows down the ball movement, or he doesn't set up plays for his opponent. Look, he got 7 assists in today's game. So that's obviously the first thing to disprove that. But there's not enough players on this team that is stepping up for the Chicago Bulls to win these types of games. Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers are elite at what they try to do. So we need help just as much as any other team would need help against stopping Joel Embiid, as well as putting our own numbers on the board. DeRozan had 45 points. He's trying to carry the load for Zach LaVine not being there and for Kobe White not being there. And it shouldn't be DeRozan that's carrying that load. He put his team on his back and got us as close as possible to get that win. Close to a 6-point game at the end of the game. We had an opportunity there that we simply blew away. And maybe DeRozan in the last final minutes could have done better. But throughout the whole game, he was carrying this Chicago Bulls team. I want to look at this bench, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see what this bench has to offer us, because we scored 15 points off of this bench. And it's just, in my opinion, not good enough compared to what their starters and their bench did. A lot of their bench guys had more points than what three of our bench players did in terms of scoring. Tony Bradley didn't score. Malcolm Hill, actually, I thought played a good game, had 5 points. Matt Thomas had 5 points, but he took 10, 11 shots to get to those 5 points. That's not good enough for Matt Thomas. And obviously Troy Brown Jr. as well. He played 22 minutes and only got 5 points as well. There needs to be a lot of improvements into this bench. And I guess many people will say, look at Dennis Schroeder, look at all these other guys that we're linked to that could bring in, that can help with the bench. Maybe that's something we have to look at. But until our bench gets a little bit more healthier in terms of the guys that we can put on it, like Kobe White, like Ayo, like Caruso, like Derrick Jones Jr., all these guys that could be bench options for the Chicago Bulls, and that definitely makes our bench 10 times better than what it is now. But the next man up mentality is not being used for the Chicago Bulls. There are guys that are not stepping up to take those spots and to fill those spots that other guys have left. The void is clearly there, and it looks like it's getting bigger every game. That's an issue for the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about Vucevic while we're here as well. He had 23 points, I believe, in this game, 23 and 7 night. I think he also got a couple of assists with that as well. Look, I don't feel Nikola Vucevic is the main responsibility for this loss. Again, I know we all knew he wasn't going to be able to guard Joel Embiid one-on-one. And when Joel Embiid is scoring like the way that he is, again, he's playing at an MVP caliber level. And maybe he will get the MVP this season. It's very hard to say. I guess it depends on where they finish in the Eastern Conference and if he can continue the level up. But Nikola Vucevic could not guard Joel Embiid. Nikola Vucevic, at the end of the day, he suffered. He was not strong enough to guard him into the paint. And again, all the isolation plays against him. This team has to do better with team defense. I've always said it. It remains true with guys like Giannis as well, guys like Kevin Durant. You don't stop these guys one-on-one. As soon as you make it a one-on-one game, you will lose. And we lost that battle because a lot of the time it was a one-on-one between Vucevic and Joel Embiid won that battle. And that is something that we can't let happen. If this is a playoff atmosphere, a playoff team that we're versing, we have to send double teams. We have to make the ball not go in Joel Embiid's hands. And if it goes in Joel Embiid's hands, either he has to take a difficult shot or we have to make sure the ball it gets passed away and he doesn't take a shot. Simple as that. It's not hard to comprehend, but I feel like the Bulls did a terrible job in trying to help Nikola Vucevic play some defense on this guy. And the reality is his offensive game was nice, his three-point shooting was decent, he got into the paint, he got a couple of post hooks and easy post fakes on Joel Embiid, but it just wasn't enough. And I think at the end of the day, it was a good game from him offensively, and that was the test. That's what I wanted to see. I knew defensively he was going to be struggling against Joel Embiid, but offensively I wanted to see what he was able to do. He still took it to the paint. He still tried to go into the pick and rolls. He still found open lanes. Yes, he took a lot more threes than what we normally see from him, but I also thought that coming into this game, and the difference is I guess he was making some of them today as well. I also want to give a huge shout out to Ayo Dosunmu and Javonte Green, the last two players that I want to talk about today. I think Javonte got his career high in points, or season high in points with 17, slashing to the basket, getting some good, I guess, putbacks and getting to the foul line. He's had a lot of double-digit scoring games for the Chicago Bulls in recent times. He's been stepping up in ways that other players simply have not been able to, and that's the difference. We need the next man up mentality. Zach LaVine and Kobe White are not here. Where are the points going to come from? They came from DeMar DeRozan today, but they also come from Javonte Green, who's had really strong double-digit points games for a lot of these times, and two of them have been without Zach LaVine and Kobe White. So he stepped up in big ways for the Chicago Bulls. And Ayo Dosunmu, again, with another fantastic assist night. He also had 8 points on the night as well. I would love to see Ayo play a little bit more aggressive in his shot. He ended up taking some open threes. He got a nice dunk on Andre Drummond, which was amazing. And he nearly got one on Joel Embiid as well. But I would like to see him a little bit more aggressive in his shot. He became, in my opinion, a little bit too stagnant because we did need more scoring on this team. And Ayo does have to play aggressive. But his passing was elite today, as per usual. A lot of no-look passes, good pick-and-roll passes, transition passes, things of that nature was really strong for Ayo Dosunmu. So those are the guys that I really want to shout out for this game. And if I didn't mention that anybody's name on this team, those are the guys that need to step up big time because we need more players to really help contribute for this team. And I don't think we're seeing it enough. And our bench is really lacking some, I guess, quality. And maybe that's something that we're trying to fix for the trade deadline. The must improve for me is Matt Thomas. Again, to get 10 shots and only have 5 points in the game, to only have 2 from 9 or something from the three-point line, whatever his stats were today, it's not good enough for the Chicago Bulls. I think we need to see a lot more from a guy like Matt Thomas, who's supposed to be that three-point specialist. How can you play 34 minutes and only have 5 points and really poor from the field as well? We needed points today. We needed a three-point specialist. We needed someone that could step up for the Chicago Bulls. The Philadelphia 76ers had guys to step up in their place. Again, looking at some of their plays and how well they played, you could look at Danny Green. Obviously, Tobias Harris is one of their leading guys. Seth Curry had a good first half as well. It's easier for them because they have a lot of guys that can help them on the scoring end. And on our bench, we don't have a lot of those guys that will help us on the scoring end. My player of the game is easily DeMar DeRozan. He dropped 45 points, a career high. He got his assist numbers. He got his rebounds. He played okay defense. There's not really much else you can say about DeMar DeRozan. I feel sorry that a performance like this went to waste. And now we have a back-to-back to look forward to. And maybe he could be entering that back-to-back tired. But hopefully we get to see Zach LaVine and Kobe White in the next game as well. So we can kind of limit that damage and maybe bring a little bit more depth, quality back into this team. Because that's what we're sorely lacking. The Bulls' record is 33-20, ladies and gentlemen. Again, tough loss to Philly. I think many people probably saw this loss coming, but we've got an even harder game probably to look forward to in our next time out, a back-to-back, second night of a back-to-back, and we're going to be versing the Phoenix Suns. Again, all I can say is I hope that Zach LaVine will be ready to play this game. I hope Kobe White will be ready to play this game. Both of them were questionable and both of them did not play against the Philadelphia 76ers. Maybe that day's break could be very valuable. We need more quality in this team. We can't have another DeMar DeRozan performance where he's dropping 45, the only one that's really scoring, only one contributing in terms of trying to carry this team and carry the load for the Chicago Bulls, and we lose those games. If DeMar DeRozan has a 45-7 night in terms of points and assists, we have to win that type of game. That level of performance can't go to waste. It did today. We've seen stuff like that last season when Zach LaVine's performance, he got dropped 50 points against the Hawks and we lost the game. Those types of performances need to end up in victories. Of course, Joel Embiid had a 40-point game and they won, and that's the respect of the Philadelphia 76ers for a great game. Our next game against Phoenix, we have to do a lot better. If DeMar DeRozan is going to have another game like that and we lose, that's very disappointing. It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be the standard that we look to for the Chicago Bulls. But again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Phoenix is a tough team. I believe they've won they've won probably the most games in the NBA in terms of, I guess, a streak and over the holiday period. I believe they're first in the NBA in the total records. They are probably the best team in the NBA at the moment, and that's what we're going to be able to deal with in the next game. Of course, every team can have an off night, and the Bulls can catch them on an off night, maybe traveling to the United Center, playing away from home. That could be our advantage, of course, but we'll have to wait and see how we go. All I can say is I hope that we can fight. I hope we can show that we are a decent team, and I hope that we can compete with the Phoenix Suns. I wanted to see how we match up with them, and this is our opportunity. Obviously, not the best opportunity for us, but an opportunity nonetheless. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.